You don't have to wear a mask anymore, concerts are back, no more Zoom meetings while in bed in pajamas. Is this what the future looks like? To say the world has changed dramatically over the course of one seriously eventful year is an understatement. While the world is familiar with the changes that occurred during the pandemic and the lockdown, what about what's going to happen after COVID-19 ends? There is no way things are going back to the way they were. Today, we're bringing you 8 ways the world will change after COVID-19. This will be the new normal. Number 8. The way we learn. If there is one thing the coronavirus pandemic brought on that is positive, it's all these Zoom memes, which leads us to our next way the world will change after COVID-19. Even after the pandemic is finished, it turns out that just because you can't be in an actual physical classroom, that doesn't mean you shouldn't learn. The way students, whether that's high school or college students, learn is forever changed. Number 7. The air quality will be better. Did you know that about 3 to 4 weeks into the lockdown, the ozone layer started doing something spectacular? Environmentalists all around noticed that it was basically healing itself. Even cities especially tainted with pollution, such as Mumbai and Delhi, showed a dramatic difference during the lockdown. This shows that, given enough time and space, nature can heal. If lockdown measures stayed in place, even if the lockdown technically ends, the world could help nature by keeping the same habits. A few months of lockdown gave us a glimpse of what a greener Earth would look like: better air quality, safer roads with less traffic, and, as we'll discuss in a minute, wildlife acting bolder. Back to the air quality. Mumbai and Delhi aren't the only cities affected. Cities and industrial areas all across Europe and Asia show differences. Satellite data picked up a drop in atmospheric levels of nitrogen dioxide, which is an air pollutant released by fossil fuels burning. There has also been a decrease in sooty particles in the air that cause respiratory diseases. This reduction in industrial air pollution with factories calming down is believed to have spared tens or even hundreds of thousands of people. Number 6. Innovation will change. This next way is predicted by none other than billionaire Mark Cuban. He believes that world-class companies will be founded out of the pandemic. He even predicts that 5-10 years out, the world will look back at 2020 and realize that there have been 10, 20, 50 world-class companies that were created by entrepreneurs. He said, "There are even some 12-year-old kids somewhere coming up with an idea to do things in a way that we never would have envisioned that is going to make us all think, why didn't I think of that?" Number 5. Animals will be bolder. Almost everyone remembers the wild headlines that showed goats basically taking over towns in the UK after a few months of people relatively leaving them all alone. Banff, Alberta even had elk freely roaming in its streets. California's Yosemite National Park had bears enjoying life and roaming more freely. That's just what happened on land. Marine life thrived during the shutdown, whales in particular. This could be credited to the reduction in noise pollution. For some time, researchers have warned about the negative effects of ocean noise on whales. With the lack of activity of vehicles such as cruise ships and construction, whales enjoyed the respite. See, whales use echolocation to find prey. This means they were less stressed about finding food and are having a higher success rate. When communicating with each other, they don't have to virtually scream over the noise. Number 4. Tourism will change. Before the lockdown, the tourism sector in the world witnessed remarkable growth. However, that growth led to the tourism industry being responsible for 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's not all. Tourists are usually drawn to places with remarkable natural beauty, such as beaches, mountains, national parks, etc. To accommodate all these tourists, it goes without saying that countless restaurants, hotels, bars, and markets were built in place. All of this consumed drastic amounts of natural resources and energy, an ecological imbalance. But with the outbreak and the consequent restrictions, the tourism industry was largely affected. The number of tourists dramatically reduced in even the hottest tourist spots around the world. It is believed that the pandemic decimated the $8 trillion travel industry overnight. Adding to that, it's not likely that visa-free travel, open destinations, and open borders will return in either the short or medium terms after the outbreak. Those who get to travel are also changing the way they go about it. Travelers with high mileage are putting more thought into their dream destination, preferring quality over quantity. Due to this relative inactivity, before you know it, natural spots started enjoying the absence of humans. The color of seawater changed, which is usually affected by people swimming, playing, and driving motorized boats. The lack of pollution from the tourism industry has also resulted in a magnificent miracle. Dolphins started coming back to the coast of the Bay of Bengal in Bangladesh and in waterways in the ports of Venice, Italy, after decades of their absence. Number 3. Communication in the workplace. As it turns out, you don't need to be at the office 5 days a week for 12 hours a day. The pandemic proved that you can work just as efficiently at home. COVID-19 eternally changed a lot of rules at the workplace, even the way we do small talk. Before, you could just knock on your boss's door to ask a question or hop on your coworker's desk to chat. Now, with social distance efforts in effect, it's a little harder to do that. Online meetings, phone calls, emails, and messaging are the next chat by the water cooler hotspots. Experts predict that with these forms of connecting, people will be able to concentrate better than they could in the office while working from the comfort of their homes. Ali Rail, the vice principal of customer experience at Slack, pointed this out, saying, "The companies that have navigated this the best are the ones that have figured out what's urgent and how can we plan to make sure that fewer things are urgent." He also added, "The expectation that everyone's on all the time and everyone responds instantly is deeply unhealthy and it's not equitable." Even Bill Gates chimed in on this, speaking about the abundance of in-person meetings that will stop. He spoke about people's mindsets of needing to constantly be there in person for meetings will change. Before, clients and bosses would get offended if you opted to meet with them online instead of in person. He said, "Just like World War II brought women into the workforce and a lot of that stayed, this idea of, do I need to go there physically? We're now allowed to ask that." Number 2. Renewed gratitude. And finally, one way the COVID-19 pandemic has touched everyone is in how they treat others. People have learned to appreciate their loved ones, friends, and family more. But how people navigate personal relationships isn't the only thing that has changed. The way people act has also changed, especially when it comes to interacting with essential workers. There is a renewed gratitude for essential workers. When the pandemic was at its most crucial, when people were hoarding toilet paper and panic was going all around, essential workers were holding the front lines strong. This includes anyone from doctors and nurses to restaurant workers and delivery people. Number 1. Masks all around. Everyone longs for the moment they get home to take off their masks for a breath of fresh air, but chances are that people will keep the habit of donning that must-have fashion item of the pandemic era. With retailers and clothing companies designing fashionable masks, people don't have to worry about their mask ruining their outfits. While some people protest being made to wear masks in public, others have surprisingly loved it. It's no wonder several countries have been doing this for ages. Years before the pandemic struck, it was perfectly normal for people in countries like South Korea, China, and Japan to wear masks on a daily basis, whether it was to enjoy walking in public with anonymity, to protect themselves and those around them from colds, and for celebrities to enjoy a stroll without putting on makeup. A year or two after the COVID-19 pandemic ends, it's highly likely that people won't feel safe to breathe out in relief yet. The new generation may even approach health measures differently from earlier generations. They may not remember a time when not wearing a mask was acceptable. And these are all the ways the world will change after COVID-19. What did you think of these changes? Which change are you looking forward to the most, and which one do you not like? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and before you go, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to Weeklypedia and click that notification bell to be alerted whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.